I'm Ben.
I'm Ron.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jason, and this is Hometown Has-Beens. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hometown Has-Beens, episode 38. The better half of the Has-Beens here with another guest today. Someone that used to roam these halls as a teacher and a coach, and he has since taken his talents to another school district as a principal, which is way more important than we are. But he is a longtime fan, or so I'll say longtime fan. First time guest.
Like almost a year.
Yeah, he's been with us since the beginning. This is Mr. Kevin Gaines. Welcome to the most unofficial podcast you'll ever be a part of.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So we'll get into like your background and stuff. But first, I just want to say thank you for sending Ryan a picture of yourself with the free orange juice in Florida, because they had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's a staple when you go to Florida. I will say, though, over the years, since I was a kid, we did that, and the cup's gotten smaller. It seems like every time you go by, like, deflation instead of inflation.
Yeah.
Because when I went in there, I thought, am I getting orange juice or a drug test? I wasn't sure which one I was doing here.
Well, and I remember, like, dispensers that I could operate, right? Like, I don't remember them doing it for you, but now it's like, orange juice or mango juice or grapefruit juice. And I'm like, orange juice.
So you could do the whole refill situation? Like,
if you
had
wanted
dispensers?
to, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you just walked up and got it yourself. But
And it was like a small coffee cup or something back then.
You know why this happened?
Wow.
Because we didn't pay our toll fees. They had
I
to
paid
relax.
mine, trust me.
Oh, did you?
Well, and toll fees, we went up. I was an expensive Uber to drive my wife and daughter to see Taylor Swift in Miami.
Oh, wow.
And got on the turnpike going to Miami, and it said that the governor had waived the tolls, and that was, of course, right after all the bad weather had occurred.
Yeah.
Well, apparently the governor didn't waive all the tolls. I got a nice little bill in the mail.
Just the ones from Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, your vote don't matter to me, so you're going to pay this
Not
toll.
helping you.
Apparently Miami didn't cooperate with that. So
Could be. That could be.
Yeah. That's
Politics.
I don't know who all gets all the money. I just know that they didn't get mine. So
They got party years.
and I made
They waived his fee after 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, they waived it right when they waved goodbye to me. Cause
I guess.
well, I appealed, and I was like, well, the sign said the governor waived them, but they didn't accept my appeal. It was basically pay your bill and be done with it.
Is this worth the time?
you just get a letter, dear Kevin Gaines, no.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
was
what
pretty
did you
much
do? With a letterhead from the governor's office. Oh, man.
man.
Well, why don't you start with giving us a little bit of background info?
So this is my 25th year in education. I came here in 2002. I had taught 2 years at Metter High School down in South Georgia and came here. Decided I want to move back north. Got tired of swatting gnats.
Don't blame
And
me.
so got a job here and coached girls softball for a little bit as well while I was here, and stayed here for 7 years until I had the opportunity to go to Stevens County as assistant principal. And I was there for 3 years, and it's my 13th year as a high school principal.
Wow, I didn't realize you'd been a principal that long.
Yeah, dude, that's what. Well, I wanted to kind of. So I got told a story about your coaching days today.
Oh no!
So apparently you kind of, and I'm not sure when this whole transition happened, but you kind of, our softball team, fast pitch softball team, is really good around here, but you kind of took over when they were making the transition from slow pitch to fast pitch, right?
Yeah, so I was the first fast pitch coach here.
Hey,
And,
fun fact of the day.
they didn't know what they were doing, and I didn't either. So there we go. We learned together.
Perfect.
Yeah. So the story went that you guys played GAC, which had obviously been playing fast pitch for a while. Were really, really loaded, and so the person that told me this said that they just we got smacked obviously because again it's a brand new program, brand new sport to the girls, and so they said they put something on their hands called atomic bomb, and went and shook hands with everybody. But this is my favorite part. Because
it's like icy hot or something.
Yeah, it's
right?
it's like icy hot.
It was Wesleyan.
Yeah,
I remember
Wesleyan.
that
It was
well.
Wesleyan.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I remember. So the story went to me like they shook hands at the end of the game, and all the girls on GAC's team was like looking at their hands like, oh, gross. So then the coach comes over to you and is like, hey, your girls put something on their hands, and you go, what? I'm going to take care of this. And then she walked off, and you never said a word about it.
Well, I mean, playing those private schools, it was tough. And that was at Wesley, and I remember that very vividly. And I will say, though, one of the most satisfying things, wins here as a coach, Wesleyan came here. And, of course, they came in on their charter bus.
Right.
And, of course, we were at their old rec department. We didn't have athletic facilities at that time like y'all do now, which is wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
They get off the bus, and we beat them 1-0 in extra innings. That was very gratifying. But, we had a little incident up there, and, it's kind of one of those things like, that's terrible, but then you're like,
I don't blame them.
Okay, they deserved it.
That is exact. The person that told me about it, and I'll tell you who it was after this, but she was very, had a lot of gratitude for it not being like, ripping them and making them run and stuff.
He gets it. He gets it.
Yeah, he knows what's up. Yeah. I just thought that was funny.
Hey, so we asked a question to each other one time about, like, if this was 15, 20 years ago and there were teachers within the same school that we walked the halls with that started a podcast like this, who would it be? And we think you would be someone who would know.
I mean, I think, you think back over the years I was here, people like Tracy Brown and Curtis Sherwood, Jeff Ravencraft. You might get the one of Mike Roof. I mean, hey.
Absolutely.
But, and Michael Williams. I mean, it was a great time up here in my 7 years here. Made a lot of long-lasting friendships for that. And so we had a good time. Yeah. And so it was definitely a crew. A lot of memories out of my time here for sure.
Yeah, I think as students, with all you guys, we could kind of tell that y'all enjoyed, being around each other, and I always remember I'd be coming through the hall and it'd be during planning time or sometime, and like you or a group of y'all be kind of in the hallway laughing. And I didn't understand, I'm like, what are they laughing about? But now as a teacher, I know when you're just in a small group of teachers and you're laughing, it's probably something the kids don't need to know.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
That's pretty good.
Well, hey, do you got any stories from your Banks County days that you want to share? And obviously we're not going. Why
don't you fess up and the what'd you say it? The butt piss story.
Okay. So on an earlier episode in this on this podcast, I said I was out of class for a long time, and when I came back, the teacher was like, "Where have you been?" And I was like, "I ain't even gonna lie, I had that old butt piss." So Coach Gaines was that teacher.
Do you remember that?
No way. I don't remember
chance
that.
You
but
remember
I remember the bathrooms were right across from my classroom. Of course, then it was my job to make sure you go in there and make sure nobody's smoking, that kind of thing, which, nowadays it's not smoking, it's vaping. But, to go in there. And, of course, kids like Ryan, I'll just take a break from this quadratic theorem and everything, quadratic formula and everything. And
you got to keep an eye on students like Ryan.
Wander the halls, aimlessly with nothing to do.
That's exactly right. That was like you in a nutshell.
Oh,
in high school.
That was essentially that was me. I'm not even gonna, but look at me now.
Which I mean, for you guys like you and Ben, and of course I know all four of you guys, but having taught you and Ben, like at that time, you moved with your students, so you taught them Algebra 1, then you taught them geometry, then you taught them Algebra 2. Which if they were great students, that was a great thing.
Yeah.
But if they were a pain, like Ryan, then maybe not so fun as much. But no, and then we had the graduation test at that point. So all these guys had me math for 3 years, and I think, well, if they don't pass this test, I can't blame nobody but myself. I can talk about how bad the student they are. They don't ever do their homework. But it's all going to be on my fault,
Oh, man. Listen, all you would have to do is say, look, I taught Ryan Griffin. They'd be like,
we get
okay, I get you. Look at you now, though, dude. You're a poster child for kind of succeeded.
Yeah. I mean,
kind of.
I mean, like he knows. I had him in math, and this is what I tell my kids a lot. Like, it wasn't like I was the greatest student, but
What was your first college math course?
it was remedial math. So, but you know,
Are you trying to blame me for that?
no,
Ryan?
not at all, not at all. So, but you know, and that's what I tell the kids. I'm like, guys, once you start putting yourself and you start filling in some of those gaps, you can learn anything. And that's kind of what I had to do. But you know, a funny story back to that, and just proving the point. So after Algebra 2, we had a choice of what next class we chose, right? And our math teachers would kind of advise us on which course that we should take. So we had a choice between like stat or Algebra 3, which isn't even a thing anymore. And so Coach Gaines calls me up to his desk and he says, Ryan, I think you could do statistics or pre-cal, whatever, but I don't think you will. And I looked and I was like, Coach Gaines, you're right. I probably wouldn't do that. Let's go with Algebra 3. I think that's a good and you know, the takeaway from that though is sometimes in life we gotta self-assess what our capabilities are. And you know, like when my car breaks down, I'm not getting under that hood because I'm gonna make things worse.
So why'd you have a third kid? If you self-assessed as a bad parent.
I was good at something else. You opened the door. I just had to walk through that one. I couldn't help myself.
Okay. All right. Whatever. Moving on.
I apologize. Okay. You don't want anything else on that?
I don't want anything else.
Oh, man. So you want to go into your...
Well, we can go back to Banks County stories.
Okay. Coach Gaines, you got any of those?
Whew, we could be here for a while. A lot of stories in 7 years. I mean, you know, I remember one time I was on planning period and I'm walking down the hall and I thought, what in the world? And a possum was running down the hall.
Dude.
And I was like, what in the world? A possum is in the hallway. And like some kid just walked over and just picked it up by the tail and just let it out the door like it was
Like it's
nothing to it.
nothing.
God.
Yeah, like it was nothing.
I don't think kids today do that.
I wouldn't do that now.
Well, yeah, it's probably wise.
I remember one time I had parking lot duty right out in the back here, and I was like, man, what is that in the parking lot over there? And I was like, it's early in the morning. Like, what? Something's in somebody's parking spot. And I walk over there, and it's a deer carcass that somebody thrown in somebody else's parking spot.
Oh, man.
They made the wrong one mad, I guess.
Dude, so you said that, and I did not do that, but I was a good kid. I'll preface it with that, but for some reason, I know the reason. I'm not gonna tell it. But anyways, I found myself anytime I had trash in my hand and I'm about to head into school or I'm leaving school, there was a particular truck that I just throw the trash in the back of every single day.
Did you know whose truck it was?
Absolutely.
Was it
I'm not
was it
ready.
my truck?
No. I think this person will be okay with it now, but
Yeah. Honestly,
I don't think they ever suspected me.
I mean,
I don't know why I did it.
Was it?
Like, I could have just thrown it in the trash can or in my car.
I know why you did it.
Yeah.
Because you just like doing things to aggravate people.
Yeah, maybe
I'm the same way, man.
I guess so.
I would do that now. Like if I walked by your truck and had stuff in, except I wouldn't throw it in the back. I would first check to see if your door's unlocked, and then I would put it in your car.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, well, that's what I would have done. But
is there any unrelated animal incidents that you remember?
Yeah. And those are two that stick out in my head. I mean, obviously, it was a great time here at the time I was here. And, from a personal perspective, in those 7 years, I mean, I got married, had 2 kids during those 7 years. So it was an important time for me during my time here. And a lot of great experiences, a lot of great people that I worked with, people that I still talk to. And, of course, social media makes it easy to keep track of people nowadays. Former students. I saw, like a student I taught my first year teaching, and she wrote she turned 40, and I was like, oh my gosh. or I text Ryan, I think it was his birthday, and I text him old man, and he's like, well, that just means you are older. So you're right.
Oh man, yeah, the smart aleck stuff has not calmed down at all in the last.
I think it's gotten stronger.
Yeah, if
Hey,
anything.
speaking of social media, you've got a beef.
I do. I have a. This just irks me, and I ain't even gonna say that I haven't done it before, but it's been a while because I realized that's dumb. So I have a real problem with like social media stupidity.
He's about to offend a lot of people.
I am. So put your big boy pants on because here it comes. So I have a real problem with parents wishing their children a happy birthday on social media when they're like on Facebook and their kids don't have Facebook. So it's not like they're going to see that you wish them a happy birthday. Let's just call it what it is. Like, that's dumb. That's the dumbest thing ever. I mean, at some point you have to like just be honest with yourself, and you just want other people to know that it's your kid's birthday.
Yeah, so my last post on Instagram was a happy birthday to my daughter who doesn't have Instagram.
That's dumb, Jason.
I just verified it. No, it is. It is dumb. All right. But I do it because I feel the pressure of other dumb people, I guess.
Well, they're going to like think you're a bad father if
I
you
think
don't.
so. I think so. At this point, if I don't say happy birthday on social media, I could ignore my daughter all day.
Uh-huh.
But if I post it on social media, happy birthday, then I'm good
Do you know
in
how?
the mind of social media.
Do you know how I know that they won't think that?
Because they don't, what? Huh?
They're not gonna know if it's your daughter's birthday unless you post it.
Yeah, but after a year, they're going to be like, is there someone out there sleuthing? Like,
yeah.
Jason hasn't posted a happy birthday to his daughter in over a year. I wonder if she's still his daughter.
You're just over.
You know?
You're just over there like, but before you make this post, like, there might be someone out there right now thinking Jason hasn't posted happy birthday to his daughter.
I'm pretty sure it was like 10 o'clock at night. I was like, that conversation happened with myself, I think.
Well,
They're probably thinking, I can't believe he didn't do that. What a terrible parent.
What a terrible parent.
Yeah. Pay no mind to the fact that we gave her gifts and a birthday party and everything else she wanted, but you don't post it on social media, it's not real.
Well,
right?
I mean, I think that just goes into my other one. My other favorite, or my least favorite, I guess, is when you're gonna take a break, like from social media,
And announce it.
and you announce that. Just don't get on there. We don't care if you're taking it. We're good for you. I'm glad. Take a break, But you don't have to tell me that you're taking a break.
But it's the validation thing. That's social media in a nutshell, right?
You
But
think-
people that write that, they never last that long. I was like, I'm going to go a week and not be on social media. And then 2 days later, they're on there again. You're like,
Times
okay,
have been
what
real tough. It's been a couple days. That sounds like Ben's like, hey, I'm not going to get on Whatnot anymore, Savannah.
happened? Oh, Lord. And whatnot. Ben's on there spending all his money.
Spending all of it.
God. Ben, that's what I told Ben one time. I'm like, dude, I think I said it when we had Jake on. I was like, man, Ben's just handing out addictions left and
Yeah.
right with gambling and online shopping or bidding or whatever it is that he's doing. So we give Ben a hard time, but just
He deserves it.
But there's just a lot of things on social media where that's common that I just stop posting your dinner. Like, stop. I don't care.
I don't do that.
But have you seen it?
I've seen it.
Like with the meals that people cook, and honestly, usually when I see them, I'm just like, that don't look good to me. You didn't present it well. Unless
What's your least favorite thing about social media, Coach Kane? Since we're on this rant.
I think, I think social media has a lot of great aspects to it. And obviously we utilize it, not only from a personal perspective, but then also, an education perspective and
absolutely.
putting information out there. But it gets old when people rant on there about stuff that they don't even control. I mean, obviously right now you look on there and a lot of political stuff on there,
Right.
like, hey, nobody controls all that. Just
Right.
not,
right.
why even post all that kind of stuff? Because all you've been is divisive,
Yep,
and I
absolutely.
tell our teachers all the time, you got to be careful about what you put out there because we have to teach everybody.
Right.
If you
Yep.
become divisive one way or the other, then you've alienated part of your people you teach or your families, so.
We took that advice and started a podcast.
I was about to say, Ryan's like, I'm tired of all these rants. I'm going to do a rant, but I don't want to be one of those people. So we'll just, hey, Jason, can you come up with a podcast we can do?
The origins of Hometown Has Been.
But you're getting it out, so there you go.
Yeah.
And you don't have to listen.
Guys, just imagine before this podcast, my wife just had to listen to everything, all this
It
junk.
wasn't just
that
your wife.
Yeah, you're right. I'm pretty open with my grievances.
Yeah.
So, oh man, well, Coach Gaines, you got anything else you want to talk about in particular?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity to be on there. I listen to it every week. I was telling Ben we came up here and played against Banks County in tennis and baseball the same night. So I was telling Ben I still chuckle about his story of sleeping with the iron board in between.
Oh man, yeah, that was real. That was real.
I'm laughing going down the road. I'm sure people are looking at me like, "What is that guy laughing about driving down the road?"
I remember it clearly. I mean, the bed was plenty big. Ben's like, I don't think I'm gonna put this ironing board in between us, and I was like, that's weird, but I don't care.
Oh man!
And then he told me it's because he didn't trust himself to not snuggle, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's probably a good decision. Then.
Well, and we go from that.
But then we go from that, and then next thing you know, we're in a honeymoon suite in Gatlinburg. So I don't know.
with a heart-shaped tub.
Jacuzzi wasn't working.
That was so you tried.
No,
So
the
you
guy
tried?
told us. The guy told us at the counter. He's like, the only room we got left is this honeymoon suite. Ben's like, well, I'll take it. And he says, the heart-shaped jacuzzi, it's not working. And Ben's like, not planning on using it. We're okay.
Whatever. There was.
And I'm in the back like, what? But it would be cool if.
Ben wasn't able to get his bubbles in the bathtub that night.
He forgot his bubbles.
Oh man,
Oh, Jesus.
that was a good time though.
Yeah. Where'd y'all go?
We went to a Tennessee game. Savannah was sick or something, and I just like college football. I think Tennessee was playing Oklahoma,
Yeah.
so I went.
Okay.
All right, everybody, I wanted to tell you about today's sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by the new novel from Scholastic Press, Gut Reaction, in which bestseller and Newbery Honor winner Kirby Larson and her daughter Quinn Wyatt team up to deliver a moving, honest, and funny story about the trials and triumphs of a teen learning to live with chronic illness. Inspired by Quinn's own journey, Gut Reaction is about not letting a disease define a life. A fantastic read for teens or adults, Gut Reaction is available wherever books are sold.
So I got a question for you, and this ain't on the paper, but so how many children do you have now?
2.
2 children. Okay. So do you have any? So we like to do like off the beaten path parenting advice.
Yeah.
Like when your
Parenting
kid,
hacks
yeah. So like when your kid
on the
starts
dark web.
walking, you just push them down to prolong that period of non-mobilization. Do you have any off the beaten path parenting things that you go with?
It's not easy growing up to be the principal's kid.
For sure.
It's definitely not easy being that. And they'll ask my children. My daughter's in college now, but she was there, and of course my son's in high school now. But hey, ask your dad about this, or hey, ask your dad about that. So, and then and I'm always all right, we're just gonna have to suck it up, push through. And my son's injured right now in tennis, and I'm like, you got to keep going, man. You're fine. You got a shin splint, and it turned out to be a high ankle sprain. So, dad of the year, so there you go, push through. So, I've always pushed mine to be the best they can, and like I said, it's not easy. Growing up in that situation, and as far as dad has to be the good guy sometimes, and dad has to be the bad guy sometimes.
That sounds a lot like growing up in a preacher's house, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
It's,
There's probably some similarities there.
Yeah, everybody, you're a preacher. Like I would walk in, and the first thing they'd say, "Oh, you're a preacher's kid. We got to watch you." I'm like, I'm a pretty decent person. Like we don't. Well, I've kind of faded in the last few years, but there was a stretch where I was an all right guy.
Like 1 to 5.
Yeah. 1 year to 5-year-old, I was a pretty innocent kid. So you taught me 3 straight years. So the way, and I know you alluded to that earlier, but the way I remember it is that you got to watch me grow up a little bit from a freshman to a junior, and then I went to Miss Gardner's class. But did you see any progress in my behavior?
Well, I mean, obviously, and you guys are in the classroom now too. The difference between a 9th grader and an 11th grader is pretty drastic. Ninth grade is still immature and still doing silly stuff, which Ryan never grew out of that. But I mean, most
That's
kids,
true.
they progress and mature. But yeah, I mean, all those guys,
Yeah.
mature through those times of, math and,
Yeah.
one of the things too that I will say, and Ryan, you teach math, you probably understand this, but one of the things that drives me crazy that people post is, when they got something for sale and they put the $sign behind the
Oh
number.
my goodness, man!
It drives me insane. I'm not
It
talking about
should. It should.
educated people
Yeah,
that know, all because it's $100.
Yeah, they're gonna put the sign back there.
Like
yeah.
they put this sign back there, and like you wouldn't believe. I mean, you guys probably see it. I see it all the
man.
time. I'm like, oh my! I call it mathematical ignorance around my house.
Mathematical
Hey,
ignorance.
you want to hear something? It's funny that you said that because I distinctly remember when I was student teaching with Andy Brown, there was a money question on it, and I put the sign behind it. No idea. Like I knew. And Andy was like, yeah, you need to put that in front of the number.
I'm sure.
the
he,
student
went,
teacher.
he went home to Brittany and was like, I thought Ryan was going to be okay, but I don't think I can recommend him for anything.
There's no hope for Ryan now. He puts a $sign in the back.
Yeah, you know what? Like Brittany and I, we were Andy's wife, Brittany Brown. We came on in the same year to Banks County. So at the time, one teacher was leaving, and they actually created two positions. So we were both able to get on. But I was kind of, I wonder if Andy would have been like, if there was just one, just like, yeah, Ryan's good, but he puts a $sign on the wrong side of the money.
Oh man, yeah, that irks me.
Yeah.
Well, I've said before, misusing like two, there,
Oh,
there,
yeah.
and there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your, like, come on.
Dude, I'm telling you, the one that gets me is the our and R. I've
Yeah,
seen that
that-
one before too.
That's more of like a Southern dialect thing.
Yeah, but
I mean,
don't-
it's still wrong, but I'm
don't-
just saying, like, I don't think that's happening much up north.
maybe. So
You know,
so coach. So what year is this? You say in education total?
25.
25. Did he already said that?
Okay, I said okay. Chill. So I remember one time I was passing a note to a girl, and you took it up.
Did you say read it to the room? Did you say read it to
No,
the room?
he didn't read
That
it
would've
to the
been
room.
awesome.
See, that was when they still folded it up
Yeah.
and tucked it in the
Yeah.
little corner,
So that's one thing. Like this is my 10th year teaching. I don't think I've ever taken a note up because
I've never seen a note.
Yeah, kids don't
being
do it
written.
anymore.
No.
So, can you think of some things that maybe like you would see in school and stuff when you first started teaching it? We just don't see it anymore.
Well, I mean, I alluded to this a little bit ago, smoking in the
Yeah.
bathroom. I remember one time, going in the restroom and this kid was at the urinal smoking, and that's just something you don't see anymore. Like, it just doesn't happen. And, you really, and you used to, especially like when I was up here, like you would see tobacco products,
everywhere.
like somebody's got a Copenhagen can in their back pocket. Well, you don't see that a whole lot
No,
anymore.
you
Like
don't.
you just don't see it. It's just
really
times have
don't.
changed, and as far as that over the years, and and then of course then you add in the whole pandemic and
Yes.
what all that did and the shift of
Yeah.
education. But there's a lot of things you worry about, like passing notes in class. I remember how you said, "I'll read it to the whole class." Like, everybody hear this,
Yep.
But now obviously that's a lost art. You
Yeah.
you don't see that, or playing football, the little
Oh,
football in the
man, I
cafeteria
forgot
and
about
all that.
that.
You know,
That game was awesome. I can't
Yeah.
even remember how to fold the footballs.
Yeah. Did you ever have anybody have a spitball? I've never had a spitball in my class either. Like
Spitball.
yeah.
Oh, I remember those days. You
Yeah.
just go, you just flying.
Or
I
hornets.
remember,
remember
this-
hornets?
in a
Yeah.
classroom here, hearing a teacher talk about getting hit in the back of the head with a spitball. Like
Oh, man.
that just doesn't happen anymore.
No,
You
I'm
just
glad
don't see
that doesn't happen. Dude,
Oh,
that
no,
would
yeah.
ruin. Like, I don't know if I'd be mad or like excited
Yeah. Well,
that kids are doing something like that.
that's what there's
I'd still be mad.
a lot of people like they talk trash about the new generation. Let's be honest. There's some things that the new generation don't do that's probably a good thing. Like I know my one of my friends who's I don't know, he's probably mid-50s. He told a
How old
story.
are you, dude?
I'm 34.
Okay.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a multi-generational friendly guy. So anyway, he told a story where him and his buddies went outside and they flipped a car over. Like,
Just for fun?
yeah, they just to mess around.
They were just bored?
Yeah.
Whose car was it?
I don't.
Was it his?
Oh, it was a teacher's that.
No.
I swear, he flipped it
Dude.
over. Like who's doing that now? Of course, you get kicked out of school, and rightfully so. But I just feel like the further back in time you go, there were like no rules. You just do whatever you wanted. But now it's like, yeah, you can't flip teachers' cars over. You know?
It's in the handbook.
Yeah, like
It should be.
I don't know.
Or what about like on the TV shows? They'd always do those like pranks where they'd put the principal's car on top of the school. Has anyone ever done that in the history of time?
How do you get it up there?
That beats me.
You got like a helicopter?
I don't think they do that.
That's a private school thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and back during my time, there was always. I mean, I remember one morning there's forks all in the yard out in the front of the school.
man.
You know, there was, you know, and a lot of times that stuff gets carried away.
Yeah.
You know, and there's
Yeah.
things called felonies now that prohibits a lot of that stuff.
Exactly.
That maybe happened back in the day. You know, that people did that you just don't. You know,
Yeah.
people don't know. And I know my students. I'm like, you know, because what happens is it gets carried away. Like one
Right.
person does one thing, and then I've got to top them.
Right,
so
right.
it's
That's
just-
right.
So we have a strict rule in my school about not doing that kind of thing. But used to though.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely saw that.
I never really understood the fork in yards.
Yeah, I did a lot of
But I don't understand like they just got to go pick up a bunch of forks. That's what's
I
funny.
mean also who has that many forks?
Oh,
Well,
you would break
yeah,
the
you
fork.
break 'em
They're like
off.
plastic forks you break off. So then you got to go,
Oh,
oh, that would be annoying.
yeah,
Well, I mean, but a lot of stuff even back then, like toilet paper, people's house.
we
I mean,
did
now
that.
toilet paper is so expensive. You got to and roll it back up and reuse it.
Yeah.
or egg in people's house. Who can afford to do that now?
Yeah.
Man.
That's honestly my house got rolled one time and my dad made me go out there and roll it up and we used it.
Someone told me that all you had to do was light one end of the toilet paper on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
And
so
it burns up so quick, it's not going to catch the tree that it'll
Yeah.
just take all out. But no one ever rolled my house
yeah.
because I live so far out
Yeah.
on the end of the county. But like I rolled a lot.
Well, so he told me and Mitch to go get it
Yeah.
and like pull it down and collect it. But he was doing the other that you were talking about. He
Oh,
just
yeah.
set it on fire and it would go up.
So it
But,
worked.
I mean, it worked that day, but I wouldn't recommend.
Well, I wouldn't recommend
That
rolling houses,
strap.
although man, it was an art.
Yeah, well,
You had
know,
to be good at it.
That was like a Halloween tradition back in the day.
That was a year round.
Oh no,
thing,
I mean
dude.
I did it. We all did it year
yeah,
round.
we did it year round.
I rolled Porter's Yard one time.
I
so,
did?
Yeah.
No, I didn't roll Porter's Yard. I
Well,
was
it's
roll
not
Porter.
it's not quite as easy now to get away with that kind of stuff, especially with
Yeah.
social media. Like, there's going to be some video, there's
Yeah,
going to be some
yeah.
picture.
That's why people aren't doing stuff anymore.
We didn't have to worry about them posting on MySpace. I mean, we just didn't. I mean,
MySpace. Dude, I forgot about MySpace. Man, well, I saw a thing the other day about MySpace, and it was like it was basically like a conspiracy theory. It's like, where did my MySpace go? You said that like people say that your digital footprint you can't get rid of it, blah 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 blah.
Oh, but where's my? Yeah.
But no one can find their MySpace, which made me go look for my MySpace.
Did you
and
find it?
I didn't.
I was kind of worried, when they took TikTok down. I was like, okay, I got to find my MySpace now. I got to figure out what.
MySpace is
So
on
I've
the
got
way
to occupy
back.
that spot.
Coach Gaines bought some stock in MySpace.
Oh, yeah.
TikTok got pulled out.
For 12 hours or whatever it was. It
Yeah.
wasn't long.
Yeah, and my wife liked. She enjoyed laughing at the influencers who's that was like their livelihood.
Oh yeah.
She's like, yeah, now they got to get a real job.
Well, it's still Instagram.
Yeah, you can still be an influencer without TikTok.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what we are.
I will say,
Very
it's
low
kinda,
level.
It's kind of crazy, like some of that, like the TikTok influencers, just how much money they make.
Oh, I know.
It's amazing.
it's
Like I know an
unreal.
influencer, and he making more than what he makes in his real job,
That's
just being an
wild.
influencer.
That's wild. You think he'd be a guest on Hometown?
I don't know. You could do something like reviewing like food that like gross snacks or something. That would get a lot of views.
Yeah.
You should do that for Hometown Has-Beens.
Well, we're thinking about doing the wing challenge.
Oh yeah, the hot ones.
Yeah, so that's
I
coming.
thought about that, but I'm talking about like I don't know.
Like what's a gross snack?
I don't know any. I don't know.
Salt and vinegar chips. I hate
Love
those.
those.
Do you love those?
Yeah,
That's disgusting. You're a weird person.
it just makes your mouth burn. You eat too many, can't taste anything else.
Whatever.
It's true.
So one of the and you know we're hitting on tech, but one of the other things I remember when we would come into class, like teachers had like a computer, right?
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
a desktop.
You didn't dare like get around it, touch it.
Oh, and grade books.
And grade books, like I remember y'all handwriting some grades in, and now at Banks County, you know, we got a Chromebook on every desk, and just that's a whole different transition too. It was like, so like when me and Jason, when we were in school, we went from being taught with no technology outside of twice a year going to a computer lab, to now we're like using technology all the time, which is. People have their differences, but I mean, it's really helped my class. But you know, that's another big difference. Just that whole technology era that we're in right now.
So I remember when I came here, we had the old iMacs. Like you remember, they're probably the color on the background.
Yeah.
That's what everybody had.
They're like clear in some one color.
Yeah, but one of the things we ran into though, the mouse on those things. You take the little bottom off, and it actually had a ball inside of there. So students would steal those balls out. So like they'd have sent out an email about missing mouse balls, like they were looking for where these things went to. But I remember, you know, having the old grade book, and I still have it. I actually we had, with the hurricane, we had some flood in our basement, so I found a lot of stuff. I could have brought Ryan's grades with me too.
I'm glad you didn't.
Some old papers and stuff. I'm like,
Straight C's.
why did he even keep all this? But anyway, you know, but I remember we were moving over at that time. We were power school here, and I remember having a co-teacher like, that computer, like that's just gonna go away. You know, that's never gonna go away. You know?
It's just a
We're just
fad.
gonna it's here today. It'll be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're still gonna keep these on hand and all that. And that's what I tell people about AI. You
That's
know,
right.
they complain about AI, and I was like, well, I remember when people complained about the internet. You know, and it's just not going away. You got to embrace it and teach people the right way to use things.
That's
So
right. By the way, I stole those little mouse balls. I did.
I figure you did.
I did. I did. Those things are awesome. You could throw them on a wall and they would like bounce off. Like it's like a bounce. I mean, it
I'm
had
aware.
some
Yeah.
buoyancy to it. I don't know if that's the right word.
I think that's something to do with
It's
floating.
something to do with water, isn't it?
Floating.
Bounciness.
Yeah, I teach AV. I don't know.
I used to
dude.
be a lit teacher. So.
Doesn't help. Doesn't help.
Where did you grow up at?
Where was home?
So I grew up in Hart County, so I'm
I did not know
back
that.
in my hometown. That's what I was talking about, stealing candy's line. I still is.
He's a hometown
but,
still is in Hart County.
But I grew up there, you know, and then, like I said, I went to college and then taught, and then obviously I had the opportunity to go back and be principal, which, you know, is unique. I'm kind of like Ryan. Sometimes at Walmart, I want to hang a left.
yeah.
Yeah, I bet you have to.
Yeah.
You're in a higher up position than the math teacher who's
I don't
barely
have-
hanging on over
I
here.
don't have time to talk. I got to go this way. You know, that kind of thing. Walmart Plus, they deliver. That's great. Unless your former student delivers you to your door. That's happened too. So
Yeah.
I didn't know you live here.
Just
This is good to know.
Go to the door in your boxers. Oh shoot.
But so I grew up there and you know, walked the same halls. And in fact, when I went as principal, there was 8 teachers that taught me there.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people. I was
crazy.
like, that's why you gotta be nice to your students. You're gonna be a boss one day. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so
You can kind of figure out which ones, though. Like Ryan's never going to be anybody's boss.
But you know, and you guys probably have this too. You know, being from here and teaching here. You know, people come up to you, hey man, you know, we went to school. Like, you know, hey, cut me a break, cut my kid a break. You know, that kind of thing. And
Yeah, for sure. The one experience that I've had, like, where a former teacher, so I went into his class and I said, he was an art teacher. So I said, hey man, one of my advisees, one of the kids that, you know, I'm supposed to be checking their grades. I said, man, he's failing in here. I was like, what are we doing? You know, like why is he failing? And he he looked at me and he goes, well, he's acting a lot like you. I'm like, what? He's like, Brian, you made a 72 in art.
He remembered it.
He remembered it. And I was like, no, I didn't. This dude just a lot like you. So he went to his like back room, pulled out the grade book from 2009. It's like, look right here. I'm like, oh my Lord. So yeah, that's and it was kind of odd, like coming back, and because just I've gotten over it since, but when you first start teaching at the place that you went to school at, and you still have teachers teaching there that you they were your teachers, you're just like, man, I was such a turd back then. And then you like, I'm a good person now. I will not be a turd.
Do you find it hard to call them by their first name?
Oh,
You just like,
yeah.
They just don't feel right.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
call them by their, yeah.
Yeah, and so when you were my teacher, you had stopped coaching, and I still right now I call you Coach Gaines, and now that I've quit coaching, I'm kind of getting into that, like,
Some calling you Mister, some calling you Coach.
yeah, and half of them not knowing like what I coached, and it was just a year ago, and they were like, why are you? I thought you coached something. You're Coach Griffin. I'm like, well, I was, but I think that's one of those titles that kind of sticks with you a long time
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So,
I do the thing, like I'm struggling. I forget so many people. Like I grew up with everyone I went to school with,
yeah,
and there's still people like I'll run into and they'll be like, hey, how are you? You know?
yeah.
And Anna's like, who is that? And I was like, I didn't introduce you because I don't know. Okay.
Like strawberry
Like
milk guy.
100%. They probably went to school with me through from kindergarten to graduation. So a lot of times the kids will be like, oh, my uncle said he went to school with you. I was like, who's your uncle? And they tell me, and I'm like, nah.
Oh, yeah.
I tell them, yeah, I remember him.
The same thing.
And then I have to go find a yearbook, and it doesn't
Same
help.
thing.
Well,
doesn't help.
and this happens a lot when we're out and about, because a lot of times, obviously, being a principal in a small town, like people know who
Right,
you
right.
are
Yeah.
that I may not necessarily know. And so we were eating at an establishment a couple weeks ago, and this guy come up to me. And,
Go ahead and be honest. It was Applebee's.
No, it was
wasn't
not Applebee's. I
No,
haven't been Applebee's in a long time.
It was Sonic.
choice.
It was Sonic.
It was definitely not Sonic. So, but guy came up to me, started talking to me, and just like he's known me forever. And of course, I've learned how to kind of play it
Yeah.
off and just hope they don't say, "What was my name?" They don't say that.
Yeah.
And they walk off, and my wife looks at me and like, "Who's that?" I was like, "I don't know.
No clue.
I don't know." And a lot of times former students, you see out and about, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh. Yeah, even when I came up here when they named the floor after Candy. I was at a game and had it, and thankfully there's a few students came to me that I actually remember their name. And so, but a lot of times you're like, oh, and the worst is like, what was my name? You're like, oh, I can't remember.
I'm glad they've never asked me.
Yeah, I've never been asked
if Strawberry Milk Guy had said, "What's my name?" I'd have been like, "Dude, your guess is way better than mine, man." Like,
And at some point, he's gonna like.
I don't think he. I think
He's gonna get around.
Yeah, he's
to
gonna ask next time you go in the pantry.
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. If I were you, I just wouldn't go to Golden Pantry.
I don't remember. I
That's
don't.
smart. Oh, that's smart.
I don't. I'm boycotting the Golden Pantry for a lot of reasons, but a lot of people like it though. So
Yeah, I don't know. I think if I, like last week we had Derek Chitwood on, and I remember Derek, but he didn't
He didn't
remember me.
remember
I
you,
wasn't
yeah.
offended by that.
Yeah, but that was like a one-time encounter. You talking about
That's
somebody we went to school with forever walks up and says, "Hey, man," and you just do the good old.
What?
Chris Porter would always say like, "How do you spell your name?" And then they'd be like,
That's genius.
"They're like, you mean Joe?" I'm like, no, your last name.
That's genius.
Smith. But then you run into stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
not
remember
really
when I
genius.
was here, I was talking about Derek being on here. So Derek was with us, and of course Curtis was with us, and a few others. And we went to watch Georgia Tech and Miami on Thursday night in Atlanta, and we sat just right below a cloud in the sky, like we were that high up at Georgia Tech. But it was pretty cool Thursday night atmosphere. I can't even remember if Georgia Tech or Miami won, probably Miami, but anyway.
Most likely. I'm just saying, y'all would have been a fun group to teach with. Like, I think, and again, like as a student, when a student like kind of can tell, I don't know. I just felt like all you guys related to us really well, even though I probably didn't act like it. But and the thing about like students like me who was not very good, like not a good student, but just y'all got you guys' impact and stuff just to make me want to come back and teach after being a moron in school. Like, I mean, that says something about you guys.
Well, I mean, we always knew who to call. I knew who to call in Ryan's case. I mean,
Sheila.
walks in different the next day,
Yeah. I remember I would get listen. The problem was, if I'd have been smarter, the first time my parent got called, I didn't need to fix it immediately. I should have toned it down just enough for them to not get called again, but not fix it immediately. The problem was when my dad got called, I fixed it immediately. Well, that gave Coach Gaines just a direct access to a quick fix for Ryan for whatever stupidity he's doing. So then it got to the point where I would walk in and I'd be doing something silly and he'd be like, "Hey, Ryan, I will email your daddy." And that was it. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm good.
Well, and nowadays, I mean, it's with cell phones and emails and texts. We have a system in our place where you can just send a text to the parent.
Yeah.
It makes it so instant. Whereas used to, they have to, I have to wait this afternoon and hopefully they'll answer the phone.
Right.
Maybe they'll respond.
Well, and then the kid's got to get home. Now, if you text a parent and they get it, they're texting that kid immediately. So by second block, that kid already knows, oh, crap, I better straighten up.
Dude, there's nothing like walking in, you just bebopping in after school, like school's over, I'm ready just to hang out, and your dad going, "Talked to Coach Gaines today."
Ryan quit talking and passing notes in class.
Passing notes, butt pissing, and everything else over here.
Well, talking about social media, though, I think you said you could tell that they related to y'all. Mm-hmm. I think social media makes that a little bit easier.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, your kids aren't following you on social media, and if they are, they shouldn't be teachers. But whether it's being in a small town, their parents see stuff on social media. Like with this podcast, kids now think we're not just teachers. We're just regular people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we're not all the time just go. Yeah.
And it gives a little insight to
we can be fun.
Yeah,
just not with you.
Yeah, there's a way you act professionally in that setting, and I think kids just think sometimes that we're just always like
robots, man.
Well, just like you live at school, you see you at the grocery store or see y'all at Applebee's, or what are you doing here? You live at school, So.
Yeah. Well, which we talked about that with Coach Thacker and Coach Marler.
Yeah.
Kids are enamored with the fact that you are somewhere other than a school building.
Yeah.
And
the guy dropping off your stuff at Walmart Plus. I thought for sure he lived in that classroom.
Yeah. And so one of the things I want to ask is being a principal now, you've been on both sides of student, teacher, educator, or student, teacher, principal,
administrator. That's what he's trying to.
Yeah,
words are hard.
Words are hard. So what are some of the things you look back on, when you were a teacher, that was like, man, this is crazy, but now as an administrator, you're like, no, I get it now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, one of the things I used to fuss, I'd have one class that had 22 in there, and then I had one class with 30 in there. I'm like, can we not make those 25 apiece?
Right.
And until I went on the other side of the table and working with a master schedule and all that, I really didn't understand.
Right.
Because sometimes there's no possible way to move any of those people over to the other side, And so, that's one thing that was an eye-opener, when you make that cross into administration, that, sometimes things just doesn't work.
And that's one of the things I always try, when you have a disagreement with leadership, you gotta remember you're looking at your world, not the whole world. And that's one thing I try to remember. But that was just your opportunity to share some stuff to tell teachers to shut up about. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. So what was going on I don't want to get so what years would you call your childhood? What?
So, obviously in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
growing up in the 80s, elementary school in the 80s. I graduated in 1996 from Hart County. So, the biggest portion is, all through the 80s in elementary school. And I remember, even then, the principal, my elementary school principal, which I still see around town, he just made sure that we got fed and we got home and the grass got cut. That was pretty much it. It's a whole different environment now.
Yeah. So on Saturday afternoon, what's going on in the 80s in Hart County at the Gaines house?
Oh man, I mean, we were, my brother and I, we played a lot of wiffle ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we had a lot of people in our community Sunday afternoon playing football out in the yard. You just didn't have. I mean, we always grew up with a computer. Like we always had a computer in our home, but
Right.
we were always doing something, whether it was remote control cars or
Right.
something, or cutting wood, whatever. It was always something that we stayed active with and stuff. It's just a total different situation of now. I mean, you look at my own kids and, playing games. I mean, we played games too at the Atari,
Right. Right.
and Nintendo,
Graphics
Ducks
were a
Hunt, and
little
all
bit
that. I mean,
different.
Yeah.
graphics nowadays is nowhere like it used to be,
Yeah.
and so we still had some of that stuff, but it was just a total different thing. I think now, growing up out in the country, and going to this little country store when I was growing up, and people would just sit around and talk and just
Yeah.
talk about whatever's going on in the world or
Yeah.
in life in general. And those days have they're just not there anymore. Like
Now-
everything is so fast paced
Yeah, for sure.
nowadays that you lose that aspect of life. And that's one thing I will say about the pandemic. Like when we were on the pandemic and everybody was at home and nobody was going anywhere, it reminded me of my childhood growing up because that's just kind of the way life was. Like you were
Right.
just around the house. You wasn't always doing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my favorite things to ask people is like, what's the one thing child Coach Gaines did that really pissed his parents off?
So, probably, and being the younger of two, you kind of learn from the older one what
Right.
not to do sometimes, unless you're Ryan. But anyway, but I remember one, and it wasn't on purpose, but I shot my brother in the head with a BB gun,
Let's
and so it's that didn't end well, that kind of
Probably
thing. And so,
not.
Well,
it was totally an accident, but.
Well, I can relate. I shot my brother as well, but the only reason I did it was completely on purpose with a BB gun. And the reason I did it is because he said that I couldn't hit him with it. And I shot that joker right in the leg. Just pop, had a little welt, and I felt good about it. Still do. I'd shoot him again. Watch out, Mitch. I'm coming for you.
Oh man. Well, let's. You want to do the rapid fire questions for
Yep.
Coach Gaines?
Yep. You got one to start?
So rapid fire. Do we determine rapid answer? It's got to be quick.
Yeah, we want like
Quick. Like off. Just first
straight
thing that
off
comes
the
to mind.
dome. Yeah. Yeah. You got one?
No.
All right. Let's go. All right. I'll start us off.
Okay, and then we'll go back and forth. All right.
Favorite baseball player all time?
Chipper Jones.
That's a good
That's
one.
a good one.
That's
Yeah,
a good one.
Good answer.
One student you wish you could have taught.
One student that I wish I could have taught.
Yeah. That's a good one.
That's a tough one right there.
It's not that hard.
Like you talking about a current student that
No. Just one student
Like
that maybe they were good at math.
Person from history that you would like love
Oh.
to have had it. That's the way I
That's
took
not.
it.
I took it as like Jason.
Well, you made it. There's a reason that Jason and me didn't take the same classes. He
I mean,
was good.
Jason and Chris, they were a little above what I was teaching. Maybe that's what it was. I taught you and Ben instead multiple times. I mean,
Oh, man.
Ben had to go to summer one time. So, I mean, there you go.
Yeah,
So,
he knows.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, but because he failed your class, right?
yeah, he did one
And
time.
he still talks about he thinks so highly of you, and he
Yes.
said that is how you attest. Like that's how you prove it right there.
That's right.
He failed me in a class, and I still love the man.
Yeah. That's,
So,
that's,
If you can take anything positive from this, know that Ben loves you no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
that was an interesting conversation with the OG Coach Thacker. So, I mean, but-
What is the? He was
Oh,
pulling his
man.
pants up so high. When he gets mad.
and of course, then, Coach Thacker did middle school softball. I did
Yeah.
high
Right,
school
right.
So
softball.
y'all-
So,
That's so funny.
Were y'all just at softball practice? Like,
Yeah, man.
like Doug, he ain't gonna make it, man. I don't know what to tell you.
And then
you
he
won't ever do no homework.
Oh man, homework.
All right, well, I
man.
got a real one then. One show that you think everybody should watch.
One show that everybody should watch. I don't know. Here lately, we've been watching Traders. I don't know if it's
Traders.
a
Okay.
show that we've kind of liked, and you got to be either, fade for, or you're going to be a traitor. And I don't know, it's just one of those shows we've been watching here lately.
Yeah. I'm gonna steal one from you
Okay.
from last week.
I don't know.
All right, it's 1995 Friday night. You're cruising down, I don't know, some road in Hart County.
Just saying, cruising downtown Hartwell.
Cruising
Man.
downtown
And my
Hartwell.
Chevrolet Cavalier.
In your
Your Chevy
Chevy Cavalier.
Cavalier.
What song you got jamming? Or
I
band?
mean, it had to be Garth Brooks. I mean,
There you go,
Let's go.
man.
something with Garth Brooks, I'm sure.
Man, it's 2025. We still doing that.
Do you know what the song That Summer's about?
Tell them about. Tell them what that comment means. Tell them about this.
Okay. So years ago, like after high school, the four of us has-beens, I guess that's kind of one of the ways this podcast started too,
Yeah,
without us
yeah,
knowing it.
yeah.
We would get together every week and play poker.
Yeah.
And it was basically just a reason to get together and hang out.
Yeah.
But we'd always have like Garth Brooks radio
Yeah.
playing on Pandora or something. Is that a thing? Is it
Yeah.
Pandora? Is that right?
Yeah. Back then it was. I don't know if it still is or not.
Anyways, and the song That Summer, what it's about is not just the summer. It's
Yeah.
some things.
Some
But
stuff.
someone, I don't remember who it was, didn't know what it was about. So me and Ben were explaining it, and then there's like, oh, okay. But then what's it? It had to have been Chris, right?
It had to
No,
have been.
it was.
I don't know.
I don't know. We'd explained it multiple weeks in a row, and we'd have guests come on the poker night. We'd have guests, some other friends we'd invite to
Yeah.
poker nights sometimes, and it was just funny because someone would be like, "That's what this song's about." Like every
Every
time, it
time.
never failed. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a lot of the things, a lot of music. I know there was a country song that I'll tell you guys afterwards of this, but that I thought, man, I didn't know that's what that song meant. Like all this time, like I had no idea
Yeah.
that it meant that. Which growing up, it was country. Then I went to Georgia Southern, and nobody listened to country. So then I had to transition over to Matchbox 20 and Creed and Savage Garden and all that. At that
Three
point,
Doors Down.
Yeah.
Big Creed fan. I love Creed.
Yeah, he is.
I went to see them in concert in Savannah,
Yeah.
Creed, and I was not in the mosh pit. It was a good
Yeah.
thing, but it was
Yeah.
kind of a crazy concert
Yeah.
to be
I
at.
bet it is.
What age group was at that concert? Like the majority?
It
would
was
you say?
college age kids.
Really?
Yeah, it was in Savannah, so there was a lot of college age
Oh,
kids at that.
Was this back in the day or?
This was when I was in college. At
Oh,
Georgia
okay,
Southern.
okay. I thought.
Yeah.
You thought he just went last week?
Well, I think don't they have a tour going right now?
Yeah, they got back together. They broke up. They got
Yeah.
back together.
Yeah.
But
They probably ran out of money.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you think we can put our differences aside enough to make a couple million?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
yeah.
Probably do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, there's, I grew up in a really religious home, which I'm very thankful for, Mom. Like, don't be texting me saying, you said you're not a fan. Very thankful for. But, man, there's no telling how many CDs between me and my brother. My dad would go to the trucks. And
And
it would
just get rid of them.
And honestly, I mean, it would be filthy music, and he would just throw them and everything else, and be like, "You don't need to listen to that." I'm like, all right. He wasn't wrong, but it's like,
And
whatever.
you do have those groups that have. I mean, like my wife is a New Kids on the Block fan. So
Let's go.
growing up being a blockhead, and we went to many.
And now you're a Swiftie
blockhead.
too.
And that's Swifty too, yeah. So I've been to several New Kids on the Block concerts, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Well,
It's
well, that's
you got all these people that they're dressed like they're wearing what they wore in the 80s. It just doesn't feel like it used
That's
to anymore.
awesome. Yeah.
And I know we went to one concert and so she was near the stage. I was not going to be near the stage, but I was on the floor and all these I was right near where they come out to go to the backstage.
Right.
And so as soon as Donnie comes out, they're like, they're screaming and holler, and then we get COVID. So I was
Yep.
like, you know what? I mean, we got COVID because of New Kids on the Block.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, so what's the best concert you've ever been to? You think?
Whew. I mean, I will say I went to see Garth Brooks at the Omni. That dates you right there. You talk about the Omni, but so I remember as a kid going to see Garth Brooks in the Omni. That was a really cool concert. I nowadays I'm more the Uber driver, Harry Styles putting them out front.
Oh, man.
Taylor Swift putting them out front twice. So here lately I've been more the Uber driver, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I went to a Garth Brooks concert. It was at Mercedes-Benz. Yeah, it was awesome.
God, y'all are so experienced. I've been to
I
one
went-
concert.
I went to a lot of concerts when I was at Peach State Pride, though.
So this is me and Curtis Chitwood. We're working in Kentucky. We went to a Carrie Underwood concert. But when I tell that story, I usually say, because Craig Morgan opened up for her, I usually say we went to a Craig Morgan concert. Because, you know, two dudes going to
Carrie Underwood.
Carrie Underwood concert.
I mean, speaking of that, I remember right here on this field, Brantley Gilbert playing the class song at graduation.
Yeah, that's
when I was
true.
here.
I forgot about that.
And I was
Brantley,
like,
we get
who-
Brantley on the
Who
pod.
is this guy out here with a guitar at graduation? you know?
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Well, I would say I didn't know who he was then, but then now, you know.
Well,
obviously
and now he's moved back too. Like
yeah,
he's
yeah. Brantley, we need to get you on the pod.
yeah. Come on, Brantley.
His brother dunked on me one time. So
Colby, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yep, that happened to me.
I played slow pitch softball against this brother.
You played slow pitch softball.
Yeah.
Were you any good?
I mean, it's not hard.
I can tell. Listen. I can tell if you were any good.
Okay,
What position did you play in the field?
outfield.
right, Phil.
Right field.
No, I was.
Okay.
You got. Usually you split it with 4. So if we did 4, I was like left center.
So
So the action. Where the action was.
So I don't know. We
See,
probably-
Ryan
Or
grew up
center.
playing right field. I guess right
he
field.
doesn't know. Yeah.
Nothing will ever come out there. No left-handers on this
What is
team.
it?
He's
This
never
is-
going
that's-
to
They gave Ryan a book with a lineup and said, "You just make sure everybody takes their turn." Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, truthfully, I played on a travel team one time, and they had me in right field. So our second baseman ended up getting hurt. So I don't know what happened. So they bring me in from right field. And so I start practicing at second base. Well, the first day that I'm gonna be the second baseman, this was the problem with me in baseball. Like I got bored really fast. And so that we were taking fielding, and I don't know if there's a more efficient way to do fielding, but one person at a time being involved was not kicking it for me. So I started digging a hole with my cleats in the dirt. By the time practice was over, there was like a 2-foot hole out there. The coach goes out there and said, "Hey, where'd this hole come from?" And he looked at me and said, "Ryan, did you do this hole?" I said, "Man, coach, it must have been them PE kids. You know they're always doing stupid stuff."
Oh man, that's pretty
Shoot,
good.
So, listeners, you don't know this, but Coach Gaines, his wife Erin, is actually here with us. So right now, we're going to put Coach Gaines on the spot.
Oh,
On the spot right now.
let's do it.
I need to know anniversary and birthday of your wife, and then birthday of both your children.
Let's see. All right, May 20th, birth date.
Got it.
June 21st, anniversary. May 3rd, one child. May 20th, the other child.
Dang.
So
was
pretty
my-
much it's all May,
Yeah,
except for the
man.
anniversary, you know,
You
which
just-
May's a long month. I mean,
Yeah.
3 birthdays
You
the same
just
month.
ran the gauntlet right
He,
there.
he
Just-
knows what he's doing. He is an administrator.
Yeah.
You're
That's
a kind of teacher.
Allison and I were trying to figure out how long we've been married the other day. Couldn't do it. It was like, and then we finally figured out the year, and we did some subtraction and figured it
Well,
out.
that's good.
Well, the older your kids are, the more you have to, you know, say
That's
it all the time. It's
true.
kind of like your social security number. You know, you grow
Yeah.
up, you think, I'm never going to remember this. But then when you went to
true.
college, you had to use it all the
Yeah,
time. You know,
that's a
back in
good
the
point.
old Scantrons and stuff back in the day.
That's a good point.
One
That's a good
time,
point.
when I went back to school, I was at Georgia State for a semester or for a year, and I guess I was in this one class. I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
Something with, I don't know if it was marketing or something. But I guess the guy had mentioned several times I needed a blue book
Blue book.
for your test or whatever.
You get that-
I had no idea. I was just there. I was taking notes. I was paying attention. I was there.
Do you get that down at the city?
Yeah, everything at Georgia State's at the city. But anyways, I go on test day and I look around a little bit and I start seeing these people with like blue books, with like, but it had like Scantrons, it had like all this stuff you fill
Yeah.
out, but then a place to write stuff too. And I looked around and I was like, class starts in like 2 minutes. I could probably go to the bookstore, come in late.
Yeah.
But I just went with it and wrote it on a sheet of paper and I gave it to him and he was like, this is how I knew college was different too.
Yeah.
Because he looked at me and he said an explicit word.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you want me to go get a book? Or he's like, I'll take it. I said, I'll have 2 next time.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. That's, I'm doing my master's and talking about college is different. I'm not sure that I've turned a single assignment in on time. I'm just being straight up with you. But which when you got your master's, I remember you and Coach Ruth would have to
Yeah.
go.
No, so masters I did through Clemson. At that time, Clemson came over to Elbert County and did a master's program. You didn't
Okay.
pay out of state tuition. So from me and Michael Williams did ours at Clemson. Then for educational specialists is when we went to Lincoln Memorial. It was
That's right.
me
That's
and
right.
and Michael Williams and then Mike Ruth and Tracy Brown. We all went up there, which that was a lot of fun.
And now
good
that's-
times.
Yeah,
That's-
now I'm about to get mine online.
Online, straight
Well, I
online.
mean, at that time there was no
Yeah.
online. I mean,
Yeah.
1 weekend a month is as close as you can get to online as
Right.
you can. And of course, everything was group work and all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff. But now it just makes it so much easier to be able to do that kind of thing. Although I will say, doing some online stuff, sometimes you do more work.
Oh, you do
when
a lot of
You're
work.
having to comment, you're having to
Discussion
reply,
posts
discussion
and, yeah.
post, and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So it is some work. So
Can you imagine having us as adults in a class together?
Who?
Like if we had to go
You and
get our
Ben?
you're
Oh,
in there
if the
too.
four of us went
Yeah, in a
once
class
a week
to a class
or once a month to a
And-
class and got something.
yes,
Oh, man.
sat in desks.
Well, it's going to be me doing all the work.
Oh, for sure.
I ain't doing that.
Yeah, you are. You are.
we're like, somebody wake Ryan up over there.
Yeah.
Sleep.
yeah. Shoot, man, that would be terrible for that instructor. That'd be
Yeah.
rough. That'd be rough. You got any shout outs you want to?
No, I just appreciate you opportunity to be on here, and I enjoy listening to it each week. And you guys do a good job, and it's always worth a good laugh. And and I made my family listen to when I'm going down the road, and they were like, and I was like, if you knew them, it would be a lot funnier. Like, if you just knew them.
yeah.
Those guys would be a little bit funnier than what you think, because I'd be laughing like they're not laughing, and I'm like, you just had to know the situation. Yeah.
I like that he said I made them listen. Like
Yeah.
they were.
They didn't want to. They're like, please, anything,
Yeah.
but play New Kids on the
Yeah,
Block.
that's what I was
Listen to
about
that.
to say.
Can we listen to Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Can
and
Oh,
then
man.
after they listen, they're like, I feel like teardrops on my guitar now. Taylor
Yeah.
Swift.
There you go. All right, everybody. That's all we got today. Big shout out to Kevin Gaines for joining us in the studio today. He was supported from day one, and we wanted to get him on for a long time, and now it finally worked out. Be sure to check out our merch on hometownhasbeens.com. Follow us on social media. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. And remember,
It's better that it has been than it ever was.
Kevin Gaines got paid $10 to cut off his rat tails. See you next week. All right. Wait, what do I do at the end?
That was good.
All right, everybody. That's all we got today.
that was
That's
so
all we
good.
got. That's all.
We rolled through that.
I know.
I did tell her I was gonna steal a line from Candy. And Candy was on here. Hometown has been. He still is. So I guess
Yeah.
I'm a still is too.
He still is. But,
Oh, man.
we're the only has-beens. We only bring still is people on. This.
Yeah. If you're a has-been, you're not coming on.
You're not coming on the pod.
We've already got 4. Although maybe we should start hosting some auditions for 2 more has-beens since we don't.
Yeah, since the other has-beens are literally has-beens.
Yeah. Are we still see them?
Every now and then, like in the hallway.
Yeah.
Ben's always quiet now. It's real
Yeah.
weird.
Tennessee season.
in this season.
He was sad to miss this though.
Yeah,
was
he
like,
was.
man,
Yeah. He so
I don't have any. I don't know. I thought it'd come to me. Normally it does. Kevin Gaines got paid $10 from his grandpa to cut off. Bye. See ya. I'll do it again. Here we go. Oh, man.
That was a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate you.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
Swinging
Yeah,
by.